Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a tutorial for creating a small purse crossover bag you can use as a phone holder or just pop your money on a walk. First of all, we start off with the resist. Then we need to look at our materials. We're going to use some mohair wools for the pattern, some vicos, and then some carded merino bats. All of these can be bought from World of Wool. Choose some lovely colours. First thing to do is to prepare the bats. Bats are carded merino wool made on a machine and therefore forced together, crisscrossed, which will give the felt some good rigidity. However, they're in various layers when they arrive, and you need to pull those apart in order to be able to build your purse with various layers. You'll see in just a moment. So to begin with, we prepare the bats by pulling them into very thin layers and setting them aside. Then we're going to take the resist, which is going to be the shape that we're going to work around and felt around. A piece of plastic from a file folder will do. And we're going to strip the mohair wool across, and we're going to make it in wavy patterns. In a moment you'll see when I wet it, you can move it around a little bit more. Make it twice as long as you want because you're going to wrap this to the other side. Set out your design, contrasting colours to your carded bat. Then you're also going to take some very fine wisps of vicos or silk, whatever you have available, and you're going to pull that into some very thin strands, usually something quite nice and bright and light. These won't show up too much when you're actually felting, but later on when the project is dry, they'll give quite a luminance to the actual surface. Use them sparingly, you don't need many. Then you need to wet out this wool so that you can design it. You'll see that I was having a problem with my squirt bottle not coming out the end of the nozzle, so do check your equipment before you start, and I had to swap over to another bottle which was a little bit easier here with the white top, and therefore I just sprayed that gently over. All that's in the bottle is some warm soapy water using dish soap, just to give the idea to get the wet felting moving. As you can see, once it's wet you can wriggle it up a little bit more. Just cover that over. And then you're going to put in your first layer of carded bat, very thin strips. You're going to have one end you're going to decide is going to be the bottom end of your project, which will be closed, and the other end which will be open so that you can take out your resist. But don't worry if both of your ends close up, because you can see that you can cut off the top and lift out your resist afterwards. You're going to get water in at each layer so that you can force the soap and the water through the wool to help it gel together and felt. We're putting a piece of netting over the top just to keep our hands from picking up all the fibres on our hands, and you may have to keep drying and wetting your hands between the various layers to stop you pulling off the wool. Once you've got it adhered, you just turn it over, and then you're going to take the edges of the mohair wools and you're going to fold those into the centre just to cover, so you've got a continuous circle of mohair wool around your purse. Just cut off any excess that you don't need. Pulling those over. And the last thing you're going to do is again put a few viscose wisps on this side to give it a little bit of luminance when you actually finish it. Or you could use some Angelina to make it sparkle, whatever you'd like to do. Or even some curly locks. Just choose your own items. My hands are a little bit wet here, it's getting stuck to the vicos, so as I said, keep a towel handy to wipe off your hands in between touching dry and wet wool. Again, giving it a bit of water here just to make it firm, and then I'm going to fold the carded bat over so that it overlaps. And then we've got sort of the first layer. Now, depending how thick your layers are, you will need to be doing 2 to 3 layers of this carded batt to build up. Decide which end is going to be your bottom and fold over that so that it's closed, so that your purse doesn't open up and everything drops out. Keep wetting it. Put net when you want to force the water through. Stops your hand sticking. Again, wet out. I've moved from my squirty bottle now to my proper felting bottle. And as you build up, you put soap on each layer. Not my hands. Put the next layer of carded batt. To keep a count of how many layers you're doing, you need the same amount of layers on each side. I almost got confused here and did 3 layers on one side and 2 on the other, but I rewound my video to find out where I was. Sometimes if it doesn't fold over completely, then you just want to put some little strips in the middle just to make sure you've got an evenness and no gaps. That's my second side. I'm just putting a little bit more there. That's going to be my third side. Basically, you want to get probably round about 3 times on each side of your work. Make it too thin, you'll have holes in it. Make it too thick, it'll be a bit unwieldy. Just keep smoothing out as you go. You can trim off the excess on the open side, but you might still find that it joins together if it's overlapping the edge. I've done some vertically and some horizontally to get a bit of a crisscross so that the fibres will pull together. The soap and the rubbing is basically what brings the fibres, the scales on the wall together and forms into a wet felt. So now we've got our piece together, we keep on soaping and rubbing either side of the final piece. We've got all our layers in place. And you notice I'm also picking it up and palming it and rubbing it, getting the edges together. Do be very careful you don't get a ridge down one side. If it's a bit loose on the template, keep it tight to the template when you're winding around. Otherwise you'll get a ridge. Just keep the top part open as much as you can. Don't worry if it's a little bit out of shape. Mine is here, it's a bit wobbly, because when you full it later on at the further stage, you'll be able to tell. And we're just also doing a pinch test here, just pinching slightly to see if the rubbing etc. is needed, or a little bit more rubbing is required. If when you pinch it, it doesn't come away in separate strands, then you're ready. If it's starting to pull away, then you've got to soap and rub a little bit more. And then we're going to give the work a big squeeze out, because it might have quite a lot of water in it. I'm just getting my things together here. Right, felting stage 2 is the rolling. So this is still the felting stage, but the sort of second part. And you put some bubble wrap on the top as well as underneath your work, on top of your towel here. I've got an icing roller, icing pin roller, any sort of pipe or foam tube rolling pin. And you just roll that. And basically you keep rolling that for about 50 rolls. Gives you a good workout. Unroll it, lift off the top, turn it a quarter of a turn round, roll it up again, and do another 50 rolls. And you're going to turn it 4 times, so you come round in a complete circle. So you're going to get approximately 200 rolls. They can be quite short and sharp rolls. Do be careful where you're standing, that your table is high enough, because you may get backache, or sit down properly at a lower table. If necessary, raise your table, and always keep standing up in between. There are lots of videos on the correct positioning to stand for wet felting, so I won't go into it now. But do watch your back when you're doing these. This video has been sped up to 2 times so that you can see it a little bit quicker. Otherwise you'd be waiting for me for ages. This sort of project probably can be done pretty much as a beginner in about an hour and a half. A little bit quicker if you're a bit more experienced. This video is only 22 minutes, so it shows you I've sped up some of the stages. I know that nobody wants to really hang around for a whole video. When we look at our statistics, we often see that people only get to about the halfway stage and then whiz along to the end. But please watch it all, otherwise you'll miss out on some crucial stages, and it is important to get your felting right. Otherwise you'll have a very unsatisfactory finish. Right, almost around there. Now, just checking my work again. It's time to remove the template, because the template is still inside the felt at this point, and it's starting to pucker up and loosen away from the template as it felts together. So you're going to cut open the top. I'm just going to ease out the template. I'm looking inside here just to make sure that the embellishment and the design hasn't shifted. If it was a little bit loose, then you could just basically put your hand in with some soap and gently massage the inside before you completely start turning it inside out. What you don't want is to find that all your yarn has fallen off. If this did happen, well, you could make a plain one and needle felt the yarn on top afterwards. There's always a way to come back from a piece of felt that's not quite working. As you can see, I've cut round the top to make a nice straight edge. And what I'm doing is just healing the edge here by soaping and rubbing the rough open edge just to felt that back in and seal it. And I'm really using my hands, carefully putting it inside here, getting lots of soap inside and outside, trying to soften up those edges where they've been around the template. I'm getting the soap inside now, very soapy hands, putting my hand in, making sure that everything's really firm before I go about turning this inside out, which I'm about to do. Turn it inside out, push out your corners, get a nice shape. Again, continue rubbing and felting. You're at the final felting stage, and nothing should be falling apart here, but you're really wanting to get a nice smooth sort of felted feel. It's lovely with the soap, actually. It's a very nice feeling. You could go on for ever and ever at this stage. You turn the correct way with the pattern on the outside and just keep rubbing. You shouldn't move around if it's been felted properly and you've done all the rolls and all the stages up to now. You can carry on like this until you get the sort of result that you're looking for. Nice firm felt before you move on to the next stage, which will be the fulling stage. You're not going to see any change in the size at this point. It's pretty much the same size as your template. It won't have shrunk much. It tends to do that in the fulling stage. Just getting a nice smooth finish. You can see that the attention to the detail at this stage will make a big difference. Right, so we're going to get one last squeeze out of soap. You're going to take your work, you don't see this here, and you're going to rinse it in cold water and then you're going to rinse it in hot water, basically shocking the wool. And then when you've got all the soap out of it and it's all rinsed, you're going to lay it on your bamboo mat, and you're going to roll that up, and you're going to do very similar to what you did at the rolling stage of the felting, but this is the fulling stage, and probably about 30 times in each direction, and then you turn it and continue again as we did before, turning it one way at a time. One good thing to remember at the fulling stage, which we're at now, is it will shrink, it will start to shrink. The bamboo is much more rugged than the bubble wrap, and the bamboo mat will start to shrink your work, so you'll sort of just stretch it in the way that you want it to be. So you need to rub. Now it shrinks in the direction of the rolling, so if you want it to be thinner, height-wise vertical, then turn it sideways and rub it. If you want it to be a bit squatter, then turn it lengthways and rub it. So basically you can change the shape of this as you're doing it. And mine is particularly, I'm trying to get it the same size as the other bag that I did, because I know that's about the right size for a phone case. Although later on I've just changed my phone. Now I've got an iPhone Plus. I found my phone is a bit too tall, so I'm probably going to have to make a slightly taller one for my new phone. You can also just, if you find it's a bit out of shape, you can get just the edges like this and just rub just into the corner, and it will just pull the corner in, just shrink the corner in the direction that you're rubbing. So you can just get rid of those shapes. As you saw when we originally felted it, was slightly wonky shape at the bottom, but this is coming into a nice rectangular shape now. Remember, it's a handmade item, it shouldn't be perfect. I'm just measuring it from where I started just to see how much it's shrinking. I'm trying to get about 20% shrinkage here. So I started off as 20 by 15, and I'm trying to get something like probably 17 by 13 approximately. It's not an exact science. When you feel you've fulled it enough and you've got it to the size you want, stop. It'd certainly be quite a rigid piece of felt. The more fulling you do, though, it will get firmer and firmer, and the felt is firming. So you keep shrinking and fulling until you reach the required size and the felt is nice and firm. Pretty much getting there now. Last sort of roll up here, I think. I'm doing this as a voiceover. It's very difficult to record while you're actually doing it, and you end up not saying the right things. Here's my other one. Still a little bit taller than the other one that I've made, so I'm just going to give it a few more rolls in the vertical direction just to pull it in that little bit. You'll see in a minute, you'll see how quickly that comes to being the same. Turn it over as you go. You want to get nice evenness to both sides of the felt as you get a wonky top. Right, I'm going to give it one more comparison to see. I think I'm pretty much there, and that looks better. It's almost the same, so I think I'll call that a day and say that that's about the size that I want. When it's ready, you leave it to dry, and then you're going to fix a cord on. You can either knit a cord with an I-corder, a cramia cord, or crochet cord. On this one I did a crocheted one. I basically did a chain link crochet and then used the chain link to crochet again, another chain link crochet to make it thicker. Then I've fitted a little bit of elastic just in the back to clip over a button in the front. And there we are. There we have it. Your cord, you can always put a knot in the top if your cord is too long. This is done so that you can put it over your shoulder and cross over your body. Carry it when you're going on a walk, when you're walking the dog, anything, just going out to the shops. It's very, very light, not like a handbag, it's not too heavy. When you've finished all that, and it's dried and you fitted your cord, sit down and have a nice cup of tea. But before you go, I'd just like to say thank you for watching, and I'm going to run a competition to win a purse like this. I'll make it to the colours that you want. What I'd like you to do is to like and comment on the bottom of this video. So by putting a comment on, I will be able to contact you with a reply. Subscribe to my channel, and then I will randomly pick a winner when this video gets 200 likes. So don't know when that will be. Maybe it will be a week, maybe it will be a day, maybe it will be 3 months. But please subscribe to my channel, because it helps me build my presence on YouTube, and therefore I can continue making more and more videos. So like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully I'll be contacting you as a winner. Or you can always contact me if you'd like to buy one of these purses. I can always make you one. Thank you so much for watching. I enjoy making these videos. I don't make them as often as I'd like to, because the summer's coming along and I've got 2 young grandchildren. But I'll continue doing as many as possible. And if you subscribe and press the little alarm bell, it'll tell you when the next one is due. So don't forget to enter the competition. Check out my link tree, which is in my bio, on the top of my channel header. Buy me a coffee if you really enjoyed this. You can see the links on my link tree. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Karen from Felting with Caggie. The reason it's called Caggie's Creations, Caggie's just my nickname with my friends. I couldn't think of anything better to call it. So much for watching. Really, really look forward to hearing from you with any comments. Any questions, please let me know. Always happy to answer. I'll answer as quick as I can. Sometimes it's not the same day. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.